You were difficult to find, Mrs. Ratchet. Is that by design?
I'm at Speaker's Corner every Sunday, sir. You might drag yourself out from whatever bourgeois trough you wallow in and receive the truth from Mr. Ingalls.
This wax is a part of the seal from the stolen formula. How did you come by it?
I picked it up to save the ministry carpet. I'll add it to my tallow for candles.
Lose that story, Mrs. Ratchet. It won't wash. You have placed yourself at grave risk, and not only from the authorities.
What you mean?
I mean that Pratt was murdered for his part in the theft. I mean that as the formula has likely been in this room, you may be in danger. Do not trifle with me. What have you done with it?
I found it behind the clerk's desk and returned it to the ministry reading room. It's there now.
Stop, Mrs. Ratchet. A lie to protect Pratt will serve neither of you now. Tell me what you know of Pratt, Mrs. Ratchet.
He was orphaned young and raised by relations. He seemed an unhappy man, friendless and comfortable in his work, and his bohemian habits didn't help. Tired all the time. But from his first day at the ministry, he was kind to me. Always kind.
And you repaid the kindness, I think. You returned the formula for him.
Yes. After the document was discovered missing, he came back here, sick from worry. Terrible agitated he was. Said it got into his briefcase by accident.
You believed him, then?
Others would have been quick to condemn him, because he's a bit different. But he's been very kind to us. Little remembrances and such. He begged me to return it, so I did. Makes no difference now, I suppose. But he promised he would tell Mr. Holmes eventually. And I told Mr. Pratt that I would have to if he didn't.
I believe you, Mrs. Ratchet. I only wish you had confided in me earlier. I recognize the greengrocer in the photograph. Is the other boy his brother?
Yes, that's David. He's currently living at government expense. He and Sydney are very like, as brothers often are.
How did you return the formula to the ministry reading room?
I've worked here 20 years, Mr. Holmes. I'm not entirely stupid. I resealed it and left it amidst the rubble on the clerk's desk.
You didn't think it strange, let alone sinister, that the seal was broken?
The seal must be broken to see what's inside. That's the point, isn't it?
Not really. Why didn't you return it to its filing box?
I couldn't find it. Mr. Pratt said it was number 5. I thought the mess on the desk would suit, and I was certain that Mr. Whitney would never notice until long after I'd gone home. He's not the most attentive clerk.
Was there anything peculiar about the document? Anything unexpected?
Now that you mention it, there was an odd brown stain in one corner. I don't know how it came to be there.
Would you share any suspicions you harbour concerning the disappearance of the formula?
I'll cast no aspersions.
Those responsible for the theft tried to kill my brother. I will not rest until I find and punish those who are responsible.
In your desire for revenge, would you do violence to the innocent?
The entirely innocent are as rare as a painless amputation, Mrs. Ratchet. Remember that.
They're as common as the entirely guilty, Mr. Holmes. You might remember that.
That painting is by Thomas Pratt, isn't it?
What makes you say so?
I know Pratt's style. I know his colours. How did you come by it?
He gave it to me. There's nothing wrong with that.
Perhaps. What is your relation to him?
Very kind man, our Mr. Pratt. Always very kind.
As you were friends, I'm sorry to inform you that Thomas Pratt has been found brutally murdered.
How awful. I'd wondered where he'd gone. He was kind to me, considerate. Always asked after my unlucky boy. I'll miss him.
Do you have any idea how Pratt spent his leisure time? With whom he spent it?
No, he was a solitary lad. We talked frequently. He never mentioned friends.
Are you familiar with a place called the Weary Punt?
I should hope not.
Would it shock you to learn that Thomas Pratt was involved in the theft of the formula?
If it's true, yes. I never took him for a thief. But if you found your culprit, why are you questioning me?
I don't know why he stole it, or for whom, or who his accomplices were. I wonder if you were one of them, Mrs. Ratchet. What is your opinion of Eldridge Whitney?
Pompous bore. Wants to impress the other boys. Fails miserably. Weak pedigree, it seems. Insults me. Perhaps it makes him feel better about himself. Pathetic sod. Another victim of the class system.
Do you have any idea who would want to harm my brother?
I can't imagine. I'm sorry for his pain and for your grief.
Thank you. Mrs. Ratchet has been played as a pawn, Watson, and it seems Whitney has not revealed all he knew about the formula.
That was clear from our interview. What has changed?
The lost has been found right under his nose. The formula is back at the ministry. I may have to turn up the heat again.
Too much heat can kill, Holmes.
Perhaps a more figurative warming will serve us just as well. It's time we made a move, Watson.
Carry on, Holmes. I'll follow your lead.
You've had no word of Whitney?
No official word? No. The child's ill and I'm late for an appointment at my club. Now please leave. He...
Like the proverbial bad penny, Mr. Holmes, you're back.
Has Sir Avery returned, Pettigrew?
No, Mr. Holmes, he's still out. Lucky man.
Will you play another game of 501? If you insist. There's a high-toned name for people like you. Massa something. People would like to suffer. Choose your weapons. It seems that you have not been completely forthcoming with me, Whitney.
I've told you what you needed to know.
Hardly. You were probably on duty when the formula went missing. Now I learn that you were on duty when it was returned. Imagine the coincidence. I hate coincidence.
You can't prove that it ever left the reading room unless you know who took it or who returned it. Who was it, Mr. Holmes?
Don't make yourself absurd, Whitney. While turnabout may be fair play, you don't possess the acumen or the information to bring it off. What is the connection between Pratt's murder and the return of the formula?
There isn't one. The formula never left the office. It's perfectly sealed. Everything's in order.
All your assertions are demonstrably false. But as an ostrich has more curiosity than yourself, and because I think you actually believe them, I won't waste my time. When will you return to the ministry?
I'll toddle back after my bath. Don't bother coming down. In my official capacity, you will find me a less pliant witness than at present.
That will be a treat. I think you have forgotten that whatever its outcome, you are not blameless in this affair. Cooperation may serve your interests. I think you should get dressed, Mr. Whitney. Now.
Oh, very well. Might give a man some privacy.
What is the condition of the dewar document, Mr. Whitney?
In my official capacity, I couldn't comment. Now, please leave. This room is restricted.
Do not pull your counterfeit rank with me, Whitney. If you entertain dreams of advancement, I suggest you assist me. A classified document has been moving in and out of your reading room under your nose.
I am innocent in all that. My behaviour has been above suspicion, and there is no proof that it ever left this room.
Certain senior ministers may feel differently. My brother certainly does. Is your position so strong that you're willing to run the risk?
What is your authorization, Mr. Holmes? If you take another step into the room, you'll be charged with criminal trespass and jailed.
Is there an echo in here, Watson? When did you last see Thomas Pratt?
It was the morning he reported the formula missing.
Did you ever see him in company? Men, women, lovers, etc.?
Once or twice, perhaps. A young man. We had no mutual friends.
Who from the ministry formed Pratt's circle of acquaintance?
He spoke occasionally to Lord Lawton and was overly familiar with the Ratchet woman. To others he was merely civil.
No enemies that you know of?
None. Now, why was he murdered?
If you truly don't know, you'll learn soon enough, Mr. Whitney. This fellow needs a lesson in humility, Watson. Will you assist me?
With extraordinary pleasure, Holmes.
That is classified government property, Mr. Holmes. In any case, it contains nothing of which your brother is unaware. What is your authorization, Mr. Holmes? If you take another step into the room, you'll be charged with criminal trespass and jailed.
Is there an echo in here, Watson?
What is your authorization, Mr. Holmes? If you take another...
Is there an echo in here, Watson? This fellow needs a lesson in humility, Watson. Will you assist me?
With extraordinary pleasure, Holmes.
Touch nothing on the desk, Mr. Holmes. You should consider all this as the Queen's personal property. I am her appointed guardian. You are nobody.
Now, if you please, I'd like to examine Dewey's formula.
You are not on my list, Mr. Holmes. I assure you that it is in our possession, and further, that it is in perfect condition.
Where was it discovered, and by whom?
It was located here, close by, in this room, of course. Merely misplaced, I should think.
I'm sure. I'd like to see it, handle it.
No. Threaten what you will. My minister will support me. The formula is back, if ever it left. I should think your part in this matter is at an end.
Which merely shows how little your thoughts are worth.